Willie Rennie, followed by Annabel Ewing.
Yesterday I wrote to all party leaders inviting them to send a joint letter to the UK Government to extend the Brexit negotiations. But I have been rejected by Jackson Carlo. He says the Government can do two things at once. Yes, that's true, but Brexit is not some minor piece of legislation. It's the biggest change to our constitutional, political and economic framework in decades. It needs careful negotiation, and it is reckless to carry on in the middle of a global pandemic. If the leader of the Scottish Conservatives won't, will the Cabinet Secretary agree to a joint approach to the UK Government?
Michael Russell.
Yes, I'm happy to agree to that. I think it's a sensible thing to do. Of course, that was what took place at Westminster recently, with a number of parties joining together, and I'm happy to commit the Scottish Government, the SNP and the Scottish Government to that action. I'm intrigued by Jackson Carlo's argument that the Government can do two things at once. It's perfectly possible to do two bad things at once, and that is what we're talking about. It's inflicting two sets of damage, because we know the inevitable damage that is going to come from COVID. The paper outlines that very clearly, using your figures which were well accepted. But adding to that is the damage of Brexit. And it is not necessarily a good thing that you do two bad things at once. You could actually try to mitigate one of the bad things by doing a good thing. So Jackson Carlo's argument is, I'm afraid, empty. It is threadbare. And what Jackson Carlo needs to do is to go back to the April Jackson Carlo and think of pragmatism and try and take a pragmatic view. We know from the experience of the Cummings event, it takes a little bit of time for Jackson Carlo to get where he really should be. Let's hope it's not too long, because the clock is ticking.